Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my video, and today we'll be doing the computer setup for this little Hyperbaby, which was the 3-inch build that I just did. There'll be links below to the build video if you're interested in that, but this will be the setup video here because a couple people have been asking, since this uses the KISS compact control, the CC all-in-one board with the ESCs and flight controller, and as well as KISS is new to me, so I'll be going through the configurator, which you can see I have up on the screen here. But what did I forget to do before we go any farther? Props off, guys. Seriously, take the props off. Alright, so now that we have our props off, as well as making sure your video transmitter antenna is in, since we're going to have to be powering up the board, we don't want to fry it, we're going to plug in the flight controller to the computer with just a micro USB, because we do need to flash the flight controller and ESCs. Well, at least I'm going to with the newest firmware here, which you can see is available from this website, the kiss.flyduino.net. This is the ESC firmware, or that's the FC. This is the ESC firmware. There's two different pages because you have to download two different files. So you have to download these. They're not available from the configurator, but we can load the hex files up from there. Okay, so to flash it, let's just, you have to press and hold the boot button the entire time. I've been messing with this a while. I finally figured out that you have to do this. It's so annoying, but you have to press and hold the button on the board, and it's small and hard to push, of course. It can't be easy. And plug it in then while holding the button and keep holding it. It's really hard to keep holding it, and then should bring up the firmware flasher here. Hit select firmware. Go through your downloads. This is the 1.2 hex that I just downloaded. I actually had RC6 on here, but it kept saying it was too old, even though it was the newest when I downloaded it 1 day ago. But this is the newest one I just downloaded from their website. Protection removed here. Keep holding it. Keep holding it. Hopefully your hand doesn't slide off of it. And flashing complete. I can let go. Doesn't seem like they're keeping it simple, like the KISS motto. So let's just unplug here. We should be done. And now we can plug in. And then we can, it should bring up the ports now that we have the correct firmware. And we can hit connect. And it'll bring up this. So let's hit activate to make sure everything is good. And there we go. Activated down here. So that's all good. Let's go to the ESC flasher. I know what I'm doing. Select firmware. And then go back. Which one was it? This hex is 16 amp, and let's hit flash. And there we go. The ESCs are flashing. This will go quite a bit slower just to make sure everything is good, and this is the most important step, to have your props off. But luckily that was a lot easier than flashing the flight controller firmware. So let's let this finish out. Okay, so let's unplug the flight controller and plug it back in. Connect here. There we go. And I'm not exactly sure where to check it, but I think it's all good. Okay, so let's just go through the setup here. Let's see, for the ESC, we're going to select D-Shot 600 there. That's what we want. For the low pass filters, I'm actually going to leave that stock there, but we can probably go down to low or something like that later. Receiver, let's go down to FreeSky S-Bus right here, and it should be inverted because it's coming off of there. Okay, I'm going to leave the PIDs and rates alone because I'm new to this system, although it should be pretty much the same as Betaflight, since Betaflight adopted the KISS system, and then I'm going to leave the level, auto-level PIDs alone. So let's hit save. Let's turn on our receiver and see, or our remote controller here, and see if everything is coming up. There we go, 1,000 to 2,000. Wow, that's spot on, 100, 1,000, 2,000. Interesting, on my Tyrannus here, I didn't even change my stick outputs to get 1,000, 2,000, and they're all perfect. So that's great. And then if we move the quad, we can see all the gyro data there. Here's the rates tab. It does look like my throttle is actually on my pitch, which is interesting. Yaw is correct. And then my roll is my pitch, so I'm going to have to change the channel order. Alright, so we're back once again after a lot more fiddling. So on the data output, or what was it, rates. You can see how the quad's going to move, and I got these finally set up. The channel mixes were actually backwards, and I wasn't able to find any place in the configurator to change that, so I actually had to do it in my radio. So I went over to inputs here, and I had to move the channels around to TAER channel order. I believe it's RETA to begin with, which is why they were screwed up, and the configurator wouldn't let me change it in there. So basically what I did to move them was you just press on it and then long hold enter, go down to move, and I just basically move them down to like channel 7 to get it out of the way, and then to move the other channel in. So I'll grab that and put it back up. You can see here, just put it there, and everything is working as it should be, like you can see there, and the throttle obviously doesn't show. So I'm going to use my trims just to get these guys centered out pretty much to 1500. That should cause no drift there. Let's go back to configuration. Actually, where is it? It's in deadband. So I'm going to add 4 deadband on all the channels just to get a little bit smoother there. Let's save that. Let's go back to rates. See, it's a little bit better there. So we can go to the data output tab, and now we can plug a battery in here. Okay, there's that. So let's test our motors. So hey, I know what I'm doing. Here we go, enable motors test. Okay, so now we can see that motor is spinning. We can actually, if we zero out and we click all of these here on my transmitter, it's actually controlling it, not by the computer, unfortunately. We can see the motors start to spin there, and I can actually use my throttle trim to bring this up and down so I know when these start to all spin smooth. So it looks like they all spin smooth at about 1028. So bring that back down and recenter my throttle trim. So now we can disable this and go back to configuration. And we have to unplug our battery there, or so it won't let us change anything. See, we might have to hit save first. There we go. So it was 1028, so I'm going to go to 1040. I'll go to 1040 and leave that there. I'll set the min command to 1000, and that should all be good. And hit save, and I'll have to set up a switch real quick for my arming, which is just as simple as going down, changing the source to that, and then going over this page and just hit enter. Now you're good. So now aux5 should be aux1 should be arming, so that's there. And then this is, what does it need to be? And it needs to be high, because this is low and this will be high towards us when I want it to arm. Hit save. Now we should be good there. And I also changed the failsafe over here to 0 seconds. I'm going to actually change these rates up. I'm going to try using just my Betaflight rates, since I think they're the same. Let's do 1.1 here, and then I'll do 0.82, 0.82, oops, leave that there, and I'm going to lower this. I think it's 0.3 that Betaflight uses, so I'll just try those rates. We'll go back to the rates tabs. Yeah, a lot more exponential. Whoa, that's a quick flip. Well, we'll see how it goes. What is that? 1200 degrees per second, so that's actually pretty much the same. So 3.4 rolls per second. So that's, yeah, it seems like the same as Betaflight. So I think we should be done actually, and you have access to the rates here. So let's go back to configuration. Actually going to disconnect. Let's plug in our battery to see if our arm switch and everything works correctly.
Telemetry recovered.
So there we go. Wait till that's good. There we go. And let's try the failsafe. Yeah, there we go. It works well enough.
Welcome to OpenTX.
So that was the that was the setup of the Hyperbaby, the little 3-inch build featuring the KISS compact control all in one. Just going over the KISS configurator, definitely new for me if you couldn't tell. And after using it, I definitely do have to say I prefer the Betaflight ecosystem. The configurator, flashing, all the firmware, I prefer that a lot more. The KISS just was a lot of problems. I had to look up a ton of things. But then again, I had to with Betaflight. I guess once you learn it, I'm sure I could do it a lot better a second time around now. Knowing that you have to hold the button the entire time you flash. It's just some quirky things that are kind of annoying, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. So yeah, that was the end of the video. There will be a link down below to the build video, and stay tuned for flight videos coming up soon. There will also be a link to my Patreon if you wish to help support the channel and you enjoy this type of content. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.